Hour number 2 on Extra 1360 Fox Sports San Diego. Today is a great day, Fletch. Number 1, I live in Alpine, so I know I'll see sun. Plenty of sun. It's going to be 107 allegedly on Saturday, but we're also going to see sunshine. That's right. Mike Clevenger makes his debut for the San Diego Padres later on today. 30 minutes away, we're going to talk about the debut of Clevenger, what we're expecting. It's a sunshine kind of Thursday, 844-570-1360. I've got some thoughts on Tatis versus Trout. I am a believer in the saying comparison is the thief of joy. But, Mark Grant last night on the broadcast said, hey, this is what baseball is all about. Like when Mike Trout came up, there was comparisons of him to Mickey Mantle through Trout's first couple hundred games. So, again, this is what we do. It's one of the beautiful things about baseball. Felt a little skewed by steroids and by a juice ball era, but, 90 feet of the baseline. So much of the game is still the same. You can do comparisons, so we'll do comparisons. But before we get into Tatis versus Trout, we had a big-time Angels fan on yesterday. And I thought that this gave us a really good idea about how Trout fans are feeling about Fernando Tatis Jr. Adam Rank of the NFL Network, we talked some fantasy football with him, but I began the conversation. Hey, you get to go watch one guy play live. Tatis or Trout, who is it?
Mike Trout. Why are we doing this already? I've tried to tell you, and listen, we want to enjoy Fernando. We don't have anything against him. We're Angel fans. I think I speak for the majority of us. We would rather see you win. Well, I'll speak for everybody. We'd rather see you win than the Dodgers. So we're not trying to start any beef, but I don't know. Can you at least finish in the top 5 of MVP voting once before you come after the 3-time MVP? That's our only thing.
Now, again, I'll remind you, I did not ask Adam who was a better baseball player. I did not at all. I said, who would you rather go watch play?
Why are we doing this?
And when you see a wall go up like that, when you see a guard go up like that, when you're defensive, you know that there may be a little something to it that potentially you fear that one guy may be tracking down your guy. Because since 2002, the Angels, and won the World Series in 2002, but really since then, all they've had is the best player in the game. And it really isn't debatable. I tried to put up a fight for Bryce Harper for a little while. It wasn't going to work because Trout's numbers are so exceptional. So before I tell you where I think an area of Fernando Tatis Jr. is actually better, I do want to preface it with Mike Trout is the best player in the game. Mike Trout has the best numbers. All the accolades that Mike Trout has earned has, again, made him better than Fernando Tatis Jr. right now. Why? Because baseball is the game of sustainability. Can you be great in game 154 and not just game 24, right? It's the greatest thing about Tony Gwynn to hit 338, to be able to go to the plate 1,100 more times and still hit over 300. It was greatness each and every day. It was not 1 month where you were on fire. It was game 1 to game 162. How great were you? And in there is health. And that's an area that Fernando Tatis Jr. still has a little bit to prove to make sure that he can, stay on the field on a regular basis. His career is so young that you can't call him injury prone, but we've seen him be injured. Mike Trout, his greatness has so much to do with his sustainability. All right, so I will preface what I'm about to say with Mike Trout is the best player in the game today. I'm not going to flip-flop on that. Now, here is the difference. Here is the biggest difference that I will say pro Tatis in the Tatis versus Trout conversation. Mike Trout is a baseball fan's favorite kind of player. Fernando Tatis Jr. is a sports fan's favorite kind of player. In the debate about who is better, Trout comes armed with statistics. Tatis is armed with feelings and emotions. And that's ultimately why Tatis has made such an impact on the game of baseball so quickly and has had a similar impact on his teammates and the Padres organization. Again, Fernando Tatis Jr., when you think about why he's great, there's a certain way that he makes you feel because of the joy at which he plays the game with. We can go into Tatis' statistics. His stats through 100 games are better than Mike Trout, but it's only 100 games. That's not even a full season. so you can't put that on Trout. But when you think about how Trout plays the game, it's the way you would teach it. You would hope that someone would have the chance to be that great. When you think about the way Tatis plays, it's a video game. It is just a different style of play, and that's why Tatis, again, you can arm yourself with statistics in this debate, but the best part about Tatis is it's a feeling and it's an emotion when you watch him play. That's what you think of first. And ultimately, that's what may make him a better baseball player because he could affect everyone around him to be better. Robert Flores of MLB Network, we asked him, you had one ticket to buy. You have one ticket to buy to go watch one player in all of Major League Baseball. This is what he said.
Fernando Tatis Jr., and it's not close. It's not close. He is. I think Jay Tingler put it best when he said. I think it was last week. He said if he was not playing baseball, he'd be an Olympic sprinter. He'd be a soccer player. He would be an NBA player. He is that supreme of an athlete. He is world class in every way. I love his swag. I love the way he plays the game. He plays the game hard. He plays with the joy and the passion that we need more of. And he's my favorite player to watch right now. Absolutely. It's not even close.
Again, like Robert Flores knows the game of baseball, and I mean he can get into all of the things that I may be Googling, your WAR pluses and I mean he could stat you to death if he wanted to. There wasn't one area where he armed himself with a stat. It was all about, he said, I love his swag. It is the emotion and the ability that Tatis plays the game with, and that's, to me, ultimately the difference between the two. Fletch, have you ever heard of a thing called effective presence?
I don't know if I have.
Like Mike Costa, he has effective non-presence.
Oh, my gosh.
On a regular basis. But there's a thing called effective presence. Now listen to this. In a study by, I know you know these two people, Noah Eisencraft and Hilla Elfenbein, they put business school students into groups. They had been enrolled in all the same classes for a semester, and they do every group project together. Then the members of each group, they rated how each member had them feel in 8 different emotions. Stressed, bored, angry, sad, calm, relaxed, happy, and enthusiastic. The researchers found that a significant portion of group members' emotions could be accounted for by the effective presence of their peers. Ultimately, when I compare Tatis and Trout, I put it on effective presence. If you arm yourself with statistics, it is Mike Trout all day long. He's earned it. But if I'm making a case for Fernando Tatis Jr. right now, it's his effective presence and the temperature and how he affects a dugout, a clubhouse, and each time he takes the field. Baseball's an interesting game. I'm not one that says Mike Trout has to win more playoff games before I respect him. It's just not how the game is wired. He does not get the ball in his hand in the fourth quarter, in the ninth inning. You need to be great everywhere. Defense, bullpen, starting pitching. But also, the Padres have not been to the playoffs since 2006. What we are watching right now, yes, the team is ultimately better, but it begins with the effective presence of one player in Fernando Tatis Jr.